All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Theorycrafting Thursday. Of course, this is everyone's favorite podcast, all about the East India Trading Company. Today, we are going to be specifically talking about the Great Bengal Famine of 1770. It's one of my favorite.
That was rough.
It's one of my favorite topics. Big fan. Turns out, when you burn a bunch of fields so that you can produce indigo, you don't have a lot of food. That kind of thing happens. So
can you not eat?
You cannot eat indigo, it turns out.
What about heat? Because you make a lot of heat, right, when you burn things, so you could just consume that. It's energy, so.
And then you have barren land with no brush and stuff, so you
the barrens was heat. The best starting zone.
That's true. A favorite of mine. Throwback. All right, so maybe now we're a WoW podcast. Who knows? That'll be good for Grady at least. All right, so now that we've exhausted all of our stores of research and stuff, similarly to how the Bengals exhausted their stores of food. I know that I feel bad. I'm making fun of a genocide. Anyway, the East India Trading Company is very bad.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Now that we've established that, let us talk about a game called Dota 2 that they probably didn't have in 1770. I say probably because we don't know for sure.
Dota's been around a long time, dude.
It has been. Conceptually, some guy may have thought of it. Anyway, how's Dota been treating you, Proud? Also, I'm Ursinity, and I'm here with Proud.
No, you're not.
Oh, that's fair. Hello, Proud. How was your week in Dota?
My dotes has been goats.
Perfect. That makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe for some of our listeners that it doesn't make sense to explain.
It's been pretty good.
Okay, that's fair. Any standout heroes? I know you've been playing a ton of PA.
Been playing a ton of PA. That's true. It's kind of like my hero that I just play in games now. I'm like, what hero am I gonna pick? I'm gonna pick PA. I can play it mid. I can play it mostly safe lane. I just fucking win games, man. Heroes just fucking wins. There are so many games that I've played that I'm like, there's actually no way that this game is going to turn into a win. And then I just get a bunch of kills, and then they keep happening. And then it's like, well, guess we win. I have a Deso, and we can kill towers now, and it's great. I've been playing a little bit more Jug. For some time, it was like, man, my Jug's actually just not winning anymore. But I'm playing Jug with a little bit more freedom in my build. Sometimes I go in Battle Fury and shit. And that's okay. I still don't think Battle Fury is overall better than my build, but there was some game where I was against a Techies, and I died 5 times in the laning phase, and I was like, I'm gonna get a fucking Battle Fury because we are not winning this game early. And I got a 23 minute. It was phase boot Battle Fury at 23 minutes. My team was like, fucking 23-minute Battle Fury Jug. We fucking lose, but the game never ended, so we won.
Yeah, and then right after that game, we played a party game, and you again had to play Jug versus the Techies. So
yes, and we won that game too, but I did go my build for that one, and we won very quickly. So, analyze it probably in the time it took me to get a Battle Fury in the other game, we won.
Because we ran a push strat with Dazzle, who I've been playing a good deal of. I think that's going to be my my personal goal for this weekend is to break 5K this weekend. I only need to win 4 games or 3 games if one is very
did you win another game?
It's a lot of points, huh?
Did you win another game recently?
I made it back to 49-13.
Okay,
I was 49-13, and then I played I played a really stupid game that I shouldn't have. It was and I was the highest MMR on my team. And I, for some reason, was like, I'm going to carry. And then we just got wrecked because my support had no clue what he was doing. And we got aggro duoed. And I talked about it on the Wednesday show, but I was so proud of myself. But it was just one of those things where I was playing AM. And when you're hard pressured and you also lose mid and the off lane, it's well, I'm not going to catch up. So that was rough. So then I went back down to whatever it was, 48-63, but now I'm back to 49-13. So this weekend I'm setting that personal goal of breaking 5K. And with Dazzle, I'm pretty sure I can do it.
The 4900, man. I've been there 3 times now, and it fucking slaps you down. So if you can get it in one push, I'm gonna hate you forever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I already was in it once, and then got brought back down into mid 48s. But also, we played Dota very differently, as we've discussed ad nauseum on the podcast. But Dazzle's my standout hero this week. I believe I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but Dazzle's one of my actually by Dota buff. I can't talk tonight apparently. He's my best hero. He's actually the only hero I'm ranked with numerically, not just percentile wise. Okay. I'm currently 672nd after playing only 2 games of him since like a while.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
the
fun.
rating system for you.
Yeah, it's like you lose it because I didn't play him for like a year, and then
Yeah.
suddenly I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll play a couple games. It's like, yeah, you're 672nd. Good job, pal. I'm like, all right, whatever.
As
But
like as soon as
there is really
Lingard
good.
was meta, then like every pro who used to play him way back in the day played one game of him. I went from like fucking like 80th to not even on the ranking board. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
fuck you.
yeah, it's not the best. Well, it's because they have the
That
like a
pro
lot of your
MMR man.
ranking. Yeah, a lot. Well, yeah, a lot of it is division based. So like
Yeah,
my Dazzle is Diamond 7, and so somebody that's in like Platinum 5 or whatever, they could be a better Dazzle than me, but it just doesn't matter because like of my natural advantage division wise. And then pros have that even farther. Anyway, I've had a lot of fun. I played my Dazzle game today, and we played one the other day, and I like Dazzle as a hero in solo queue because I can really like lead a game. Because anybody with healing, I feel, can lead a game, but I can just be like, all right, let's
yeah.
push. Like, all right, just go in, you're
The
fine,
ability
and
to
you can kind
say
of
like, no, don't back, I will heal you. They're like, oh, I have a friend here, and he will
yeah.
help me. And then they
And you
keep
never
doing
get
what you say.
yeah, and you never get flamed. I shouldn't say it, but I rarely get flamed as a healing support because it's like, all right, well, I could just be like, oh, I was out of mana, or like, oh, I was on cooldown. Whereas they were like, man, you missed your stun. You only hit 2 people with that lion stun. You
Yeah.
could have hit 3. I'm disappointed. I'm like, all right, buddy, calm down. But I've been playing a lot of Dazzle. We played a bunch of Oracle games with Hakuna Marana the other day, and that's about it for me. And like Shadow Demon, of course. Kunka's support games and core games in some unranked stuff and like garbage party ranked that I get talked into, or like I don't know if this happens to you, but like I join a party assuming it's gonna be unranked, and then it comes into ranked, and then like the average MMR in a couple of these games that I played in like the last week is like 3,000, and it's just very very unfair because like I play mid or like a core, and you just win that one lane and then you just walk over, and
Yep.
so I played a few of those, or not a few, but I played like 2 of those. So that's fine. Yeah, a lot of supports. Shadow Shaman I played a game as, and that kind of I played that one game and I was like, man, I should just play like 10 games of this. And then of course I didn't because why would I ever do that? But
Yeah,
that
no,
here is
that's a
pretty
bad
good.
idea.
Other
I
than that
will
though, nothing
say,
too exciting.
yesterday, last night, I wanted to get one more game in, and I played Ember Spirit, and it was a 5.5k average game, so I was assuming I would support, and then the other like the low 4k, because like 3 people had picked, and then it was just me, and then our mid player, and then it was like, hey, Proud, what MMR are you? And I was like 4.8, and he was like, oh, you should mid, and I was like, why? He's like, I'm 4.1. I'm like, this is a 5,500 average game, dude. Why are you 4.1 and mousing over mid? But thank you for checking. And so I'm like,
Those
guess
people
I'll
are the
play
worst.
Ember Spirit because the other person was mousing over Meepo. And I was like, okay, well, if he goes Meepo, they have their carry picked. I don't want him to get Ember Spirit. And I'm like, okay, because I don't play any ranged heroes, but I play Ember. And I'm probably going to play mid on CSL this year, the college league. So I want to be practicing my Ember Spirit because it's one of the mids that I actually do like. But man, I fucking stomped the 6 KTA player's Ember. Like I was 9-1-17 by the end of that game. Like
Mm.
my Ember was fucking legit. I was very happy with that game. I was against like a Ricky too. I was fucking great.
That is surprising. That's one of those matchups that's very like both sides can win, and
It
it's
was
entirely based on play.
it was very clear that he was way better. The other mid was way better than me. But like we went in for I kind of saw when their ganks were gonna come, so I just played super careful. And then whenever our ganks came, it just like worked out perfectly.
That's good.
And then I just man, dude, there was like one gank because like the thing when you're playing Ember Spirit is like every single one of your actions has to be so fucking deliberate and correct that like one little slip up just gets you killed. Like I was getting gone on by an Ursa, and my only way I was gonna live is I had to fucking like remnant up like a cliff, and I would like threw my remnant when I was like very slowed, and so I had to like just watch this fucking thing like as my health just drained away from this overpowered bear just like screaming down my throat, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, come on, Spirit, you fucking get there, just come on, and then I fucking finally got it. Oh, thank God, and it's just like just little things like that, and then like I go back and I do like one slight that like fucking finishes a kill and saves someone's life, and it's just like it was the fucking closest. It was like the best game I played at Ember of my fucking life. It felt so good, and like it was a fucking 5.5k game when I was mid, and I'm like terrified of midding right now. So that was standout for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things, one of those mechanics that I feel people forget about all the time until it happens. But Ember spirits move at the move speed of Ember Spirit. So if he's
Well,
slowed,
scalar
they
to
are
the move speed. I mean, they're faster, but yeah.
yeah, they're faster. Yeah, but like if he's Oracle queued, if he's
Yeah.
Oracle, I should know this name, but nobody knows the names of Oracle's abilities.
Or any abilities, really. I
It
was against
doesn't
an orc.
move.
What was it?
Yeah. Well, Fate's Edict is his W. Purifying Flames is his heal / damage, and his ult is something. I
Fate's
don't know. It
Edict?
doesn't matter. Fate's Edict.
No, False
Yeah.
Promise.
False Promise. That's what it is. Fate's Edict is a W.
False
Regardless,
Fate's Edict of Promises.
yes. The
Where even is Oracle
when
on
you
this
have
fucking
your
hero list?
ensnare or any ensnare, the Ember Spirit illusion will just make the walk animation, but stay there.
Fortune's End.
Fortune's End. That makes sense.
Fucking dude, these names suck. Gonna be honest with you.
Every should just be named like Slardar. It's like, all right, crush, amplify damage, bash, sprint. It's like, all right.
Okay, but that wouldn't even help Oracle because his spells are so fucking convoluted that you'd be like,
true.
damage and then heal, but maybe purge?
Yeah, maybe not. Who knows?
Purge AoE, but not target on spell immune, but counter Omni-Knight, the spell.
Yeah, man. In one of the Oracle games, we lost. The enemy team had an what's called an Omni Knight, and I made some like very very skillful dispels that were because one of the big things about people were saying like, oh, Oracle's the counter Omni Knight, but you can only remove repel if you target something near the person that is repelled, or if you're targeting him and then they get repelled and then you launch your thing. So I made some pretty next level, like, pull a creep and then do to the creep to get it away, or to get it to like dispel the Huskar or whatever. I was very proud of that. We still got wrecked that game, but it's one of those like little mini games that you kind of impose on yourself and you're like, man, all right.
I'm impressed whenever you do anything correctly, so that sounds cool.
That's fair because you must be impressed a lot. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I know we briefly spoke about it before the show, but you should go into it in depth on your new Ember Spirit potential build. Maybe maybe you'll just ruin everybody's pubs.
We were talking about this on Twitter. Shout out to Mr. Blue, not to be confused with Mr. Blue, but Mr. Blue. And Flub was tagged. Flub was a fucking hater because he doesn't have an open mind like I do. The true fucking. This is why I'm on the Theorycraft show and he's on the Try Hard show. All right, because he just doesn't have the true theory crafting open mind of an innovator.
Yeah, boy. When I think of someone that only picks very specific things and doesn't know how to deviate from the meta, it's definitely Flub. I don't think I've ever seen him play anything not in the top 20 most picked.
Yeah, no, that's certainly true. Especially not in a lane that they're not normally played in. Anyway, so Ember Spirit Echo Saber, right? What a concept. So at first, at the cursory glance, you'll say, "Well, he sleight of fist. Does that fucking help when he slide?" Like, no, it doesn't double hit when you sleight of fists. You fucking moron. Like that doesn't matter. So when you look at, let's go back to the intro cinematic for Dota. Like, what does a hero truly need, right? Like, that's the shit. So Ember almost always gets travels, that's true, and bottle and poor man's shield, but there's always some kind of transition-y item. Sometimes, at first it was drums, then drums got changed a shit ton. Then people started going the Aquila, and they go like Aquila wand and then travels. And now it's kind of split between Aquila and drums. But I feel like Echo Saber is definitely like a strong option there. It fulfills a fairly similar purpose to drums. It gives you a little bit more tankiness to it. It doesn't have the HP regen, which is actually kind of nice before you get your Battle Fury. And it doesn't give you the move speed, which is definitely very nice. But the one thing that it really does get you is this kind of very interesting burst melee damage that Ember Spirit can use. That's, I guess, you kind of wouldn't think of Ember Spirit as a hero that has any interest in meleeing someone. But in all honesty, I find myself meleeing a lot on this hero, and not meleeing like, PA jumps in, you get like 7 auto attacks in, but meleeing as in you just like find someone, you do a slight, and you have no attack speed on this hero at all. Like none of the good items for you are attack speed items. But for whatever reason, I mean, so if you have no attack speed, like you still have damage. So like you can do one hit that does a shit ton of damage, and then the hero's mobile enough that you want to get like one hit in, and then you get back, and then you sleight a fist, etc., etc. But okay, wait, let me test this shit out. Yeah, it works. Okay, so what can happen is you fucking Echo Sabers, or if you do a sleight while Echo Sabers off cooldown, it'll still like give them the attack speed slow and the move speed slow, which is fucking awesome. By the way, that's the best thing ever.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, you talk for a sec. I wanna figure something out.
Sure. I mean, the Echo Saber, it's definitely one of those items and one of those mechanics that has an obvious effect that everybody knows and that people think about. And then there's a secondary effect that people don't think about nearly as much. That being
this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Everyone fucking lied. When you sleight, it does put your Echo Saber on cooldown.
Okay. But it doesn't double hit everybody.
No, it doesn't double hit. So
but
like,
it puts it on cooldown.
Yeah, it puts it on cooldown. That sucks.
Okay. So are we now
bullshit.
The consensus that we don't do this?
Yeah, this is awful.
Well, I'm glad that you are the type of person that playtests things mid-podcast, and we can just, like, recant this entire thing.
I mean, like, I like the idea relatively still. Like, it's still kind of interesting.
Yeah, the stats are okay.
Ember Spirit is a very lancy hero. Like, in this game that I was just playing, I was against like an Ursa, and there were a lot of situations where I would walk up to him and do one attack, and then he's about to hit me, and then I slight to like, scoop the auto attackers targeting, and then like walk back. And if I had an Echo Saber, like my melee burst damage, or I guess my damage interval, because it would be I would do an auto attack and a sleight of fist. Basically, that was the only time I would go in. An Echo Saber is a 5-second cooldown, so it would take me kind of from like one auto attack and a sleight to two auto attacks and a sleight. But I'm not sure if it's worth that much. Yeah, it'll only slow the one motherfucker. That sucks. Yeah,
all
okay.
right, well,
I'm gonna say this is not a thing. Sorry, Mr. Blue. That actually doesn't work at all. And to everyone else who was talking to me about how that was cool but not worth it, and I was like, no, you don't actually. But no, I don't think this is a thing. Like apparently RTZ played it. I don't know. It's like it's okay. If it did apply the slow to everyone and not put your thing on cooldown, I would say this is probably the way to go. But it doesn't. So it's not. This gets a resounding maybe now.
Yeah, I am now kind of off that train now that I know that it doesn't actually work. The stats are okay though.
Yeah, I mean the stats are okay. The mana regen's nice, but there are other things you can do. I'm gonna stick with the drum train because like I like Ember Spirit as a hero who can like go in and do some real fighting with his spells. Like be in the middle of a fight and be disruptive and that sort of thing. So I like drum way more than Aquila, and like being fast and shit is dope. But I'd say either drum or Aquila. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves here.
I've always liked Ember Spirit, and for anybody wondering, we're not actually playing Ember Spirit today, but one of the things I really like about Ember Spirit is that he transitions from being a heavy magic damage dealer to a heavy physical damage dealer, and I just like that mechanic. Like fundamentally, I think it's interesting to have a hero that is balanced around that kind of transitionary phase, where like, if you're level 7 and like 7, 8, 9, where you have like maxed shield, your ult, and then 2 points in chains, or some people do like 3, 0, 3, and then ult, of course. I've seen both, but it depends on the game. Anyway, I like that mechanic of heroes that transition from doing one thing into another thing, so that's interesting. I'm also on the drums train, though. I'm a fan of drums on him still. Anyway, let's move into our segment. Our segment this week, we are going to be talking about something very complicated, I suppose, and very general, but we're going to, see where we go with it, and maybe it'll be our segment also next week. So we're going to just talk about farming a bit. Farming from... Oh, sorry?
I said okay. I actually forgot that this was our segment. I've been not here. Like, I just got home, so I'm, bear with me,
Well, that's fair. If there's one thing that I'm here to do, it's to inform my co-host of what we're doing today. So, with farming, I imagine we have two very distinct perspectives because...
No, because my perspective is I need all the farm, and when I play with you on support, that's evidently your perspective too.
Well, okay. I didn't realize that we were already going to go into the same.
Literally, I didn't even want to bring it up in a game because it was a losing game. But there was another game where I was like walking to a wave to farm, and I saw you there, and you just spent half your mana to just finish off the creep wave before I got to it. Literally, I
I
saw you do that on Oracle.
Okay, well, maybe I was like close to mana boost or something.
I even checked your gold. I was like, no, it was nothing. There's no reason for that.
I
I didn't want to bring it up mid game, and we lost that game, so I didn't want to be like, by the way, Sam, you took all my farm. But like, that was just the time that I noticed you literally spent, and this was like early game too, and you just spent your mana to fucking like do that, and it was like, I just can't believe that happened.
Okay, so let's get into the like first bit of farming at least. So there's two distinct methodologies or mentalities regarding farming. One would be the I'm not getting farm, so I need to find a way to get it, and the other being I am entitled to all the farm, therefore anybody else that takes it is non-deserving and is playing too greedily. Would you agree?
I guess so.
So we have our typical like 1 through 5 priority list of farm priority, and that is a elusive concept for some newer players, especially. I know, like when I first started playing.
I'm just kidding.
Well, when I first started playing, I was very confused. Or not first started playing, but when I first started watching pro games, that's a better way to word it. I knew, like, all right, there's the carry, there's the mid, there's the offlaner, and then there's supports, and then there's junglers. But when I first started watching pro games, people were like, "Oh, it's a 3," or "Oh, it's a 4," or "Oh, it's the 1," it's the 2." That was a very like confusing concept to me, and I had to like look it up and have it explained to me that it was like, oh, they're talking about like a tiered farm priority list instead of saying carry, mid, etc. So generally, we say the 1 has the highest priority, therefore should have the most farm, which is the safe lane carry, and the 5 should have the least farm, which is me, the hard support. Sometimes that listing gets a bit off kilter because of a variety of different situations, but farming is important to all roles, contrary to popular belief. A lot of people would say, oh, you're playing the 5, just never farm, which is the worst mentality in the entire world.
That's true.
But I think the primary difference within farm priority is where one gets the farm and how they get the farm.
I would agree.
So your 4 and your 5.
And this is obviously, disclaimer, this is very hero specific as well
Yes.
once you get into it. But if we're just talking purely about roles, like, for instance, if you're trapped up in your base and Tinker is the only hero that can get outside of their base, Tinker should probably seed any farm that's like right in front of the map to like their offlaner. Even though Tinker is more farm dependent than, say, I don't know, a Slaughter or a Tidehunter, the Tidehunter's not going to get any farm all game outside of what's in front of the base. So the Tinker should not take that. You don't want to. There's some hero dependent shit, but in general, this is how we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. So for instance, farming in different ways, like you brought up, is very key, right? Because if you're a Tinker, you're going to farm inherently differently than a Slaughter or a Tidehunter, per your example. And this has there are some basic ways to understand this. Like, I mean, from the most basic level, let's say in the early game, there are 3 different heroes that have farm priority in lanes, right? So the offlaner is going to ideally be farming the off lane, and the mid's going to be farming the mid lane, and the safe lane's going to be farming the safe lane.
Fuck yeah,
but then that leaves 2 heroes that are not farming. And let's just say, for the sake of simplicity, you have a jungler. Your 4 is a jungler instead of a roaming support, because roaming supports farm in very different ways, just inherently.
Typically off heroes, I find.
Yes, off heroes, and if you can scrape a few jungle camps, if you're playing like a Night Stalker or a Treant Protector or something, that's Iron Taloning. And then your 5 is farming jungle through lane, if that makes sense, right? Because you're going to be pulling a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's this kind of very baseline idea of not only farm priority, but the ways in which different heroes in different lineups get farm that is key to understanding farming even before going into like the strict and hardcore mechanics of the actual farming itself. It's knowing, oh, I'm playing Dazzle, so my farm is going to be through pulling for the first few minutes, stuff like that. And then I've brought this up constantly, and I'm kind of like we don't have like a preordained list of like, all right, we're going to talk about farming in this order, so I'm just kind of going tangentially. But the thing I always bring up as a 5 player and as a 4 player that may or may not be a divisive opinion within Hakuna Marana, our team, is that when you're a 4 or a 5, especially if you're a 5, I shouldn't say, not especially if you're a 5. If you're a 4 or a 5, you have less opportunities for farm, so your farming mechanics need to be better. So if you are if there is a
And when the mechanics aren't there, just use all of your fucking mana, apparently.
I'm being like libeled or slandered. That's the word. People keep correcting me with that in Discord. I'm like, I'm being
care right now. I don't
okay.
care about whatever you're saying.
It's such a semantic argument. Anyway, God, now I'm like, I'm heated off from libel and slander.
Okay, that's fine. You can be heated about that.
If you have less opportunities for farm, when you have those opportunities,
I agree.
You're hurt more for squandering them.
If like your entire game is you're supposed to get 4 staff at 20 minutes and you miss 2 last hits, like that's the like if your 4 staff on a support is as is almost as important as like let's say your carry getting their desolator, like or their battle fury, like you're missing 2 last hits is like gold wise roughly equivalent to them missing like 4 or 5 last hits. So yeah, like each last hit you miss as a support is important. Just think of any time you've been like, oh yo, I need mana boots in 1 last hit, let me get this, and the carry says of course, and then you miss 3 last hits in a row and he's like, I gave those to you, and you fucking squandered it. You fucking piece of shit.
And then the carry takes all the last hits because they're like, you're incompetent. Don't even worry about it.
You are never getting a last hit for the rest of your life, buddy. Yeah. And you're like, I deserve this.
Yeah, it's definitely I'm hurt when I see that mentality very often with people that are like, I'm supporting. I just never get any farm, especially in solo queue pubs. That's one of the big reasons why people hate supporting so much. And this does not go away at any MMR, or at least any MMR I've been in. People are always going to not give you farms as support unless you're in like coordinated 5-stack games. But when you do have those opportunities, you need to, if you're under a tower, you need to know, all right, I'm playing Dazzle and I have 50 damage, so I need to hit this range creep twice after 3 hits of the, or twice after 2 hits from the tower. Stuff like that. No, twice. If you have 50 damage on a Dazzle, you need to hit it twice.
Well, you need to hit it once before the 2 hits finish. You can't hit it twice in the time that it takes the tower to go for the 3rd hit.
Well, you're right, but I mean, you could hit it before the tower touches it at all, or you could hit it in the middle of the hits. But unless
so you need to hit it once before the 3rd, before the 2nd hit occurs.
Yes. But you do in the long run, you need 2 hits.
Just in case anyone doesn't know, before you hit 80 damage on your hero, like 80 damage. I mean, like heroes in Dota have damage ranges and towers have damage ranges, but the safest thing is before you hit 80 damage, hit the range creep once before the tower hits it twice.
Yes.
So if you hit it once, 2 tower hits and then hit it. Well, if you have a Quelling Blade, then you're going to do more than 80 damage.
Yeah. Then it's like 60, right? I think it's 60 or 65.
Roughly, something like that. It's a 40% buff, so I mean the math there isn't too difficult. I'm just not going to do it right now.
It's too difficult
for
roughly
me. 60.
Yeah, there's a reason I'm a history major, not a math major. All right, so that's kind of my 2 cents as a support player.
Oh, yeah, and melee creeps. If you have about 60 damage, you want to do like 2 auto attacks on a melee creep, and then go for it. And then if you're over 60, you got to do 3 or 1. And I
was gonna say, all right, so this is something I've been thinking about recently. When a tower is going on melee creeps and you have no creeps contesting you, or no allied creeps, do you let it hit 5 times and then take it, or do you do the hit it and then 4 and then hit it again?
That's damage dependent. The safest thing to do is to hit it twice or 3 times if you notice the towers are getting low rolls on the damage. Like the safest thing, towers have huge damage ranges, honestly, like they're very big. So the more tower hits you let in, the less accurate any of the math you're doing is going to be. So
that's fair.
if you can try to minimize, like if you're Chaos Knight, don't do that because you have a huge damage range. Like this is when you get into like the really specific, like this is actually high tier, like carry fucking, things that you're thinking about here. Like what is my hero's damage range? I'm going to mouse over my hero in the middle of this fucking tower last hitting and shit. But normally on melee creeps, if you have 60 damage or below, hit it twice. If you have more than that, hit it 3 times or 1. You kind of honestly just have to feel out how much damage the tower is doing.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I always forget that towers have like damage ranges that vary.
Dude, their damage range is fucking massive. It's crazy.
Well, it's because I usually, when I miss a last hit, when like I'm thinking like, oh, okay, it's going to hit it 5 times and I do it once, I blame it on my damage range, not on the tower's damage range.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you make the tower hit it more often, their range can fuck you up. But same with heroes. But that's why, like, most heroes, I don't think they have quite as high range as the towers.
It's usually only like 5 points.
Like the tower range, the damage range on a tower is between 100 and 120. That's a huge.
That's a lot.
At 20 damage range, that's twice as big as CK's range. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, and that's like 3 or 4 times the damage range of most heroes, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
like most heroes have like
basically 5 times.
Yeah, 5-point spread.
Dude,
or a
PA's
4-point
damage range, and I even feel PA's often, is 2. She has a damage range of 2. The tower is 10 times her range of damage. Anyway, damage ranges. Fucking Dota 2. What a joke.
Yeah, God, Dota 2, like, Dota 2 takes the cake for having all these arbitrary little differences, and that's why we love the game. That's why we can have a weekly podcast and talk about
Range
the same
creeps
different things
have a
every single
damage
time.
range of 5.
Yeah.
Fuck you, range creep, and that damage is multiplied on melee creeps. I hate this game.
And like nothing is gonna teach you about damage ranges until you like accidentally, unless A, we tell you or somebody else tells you, or C, you're like misclicking and you accidentally mouse over the little sword.
And you're like, attack damage 19 to 23? What the fuck?
Like, what does that mean? Anyway, and then like there's something that's not even on the thing, like damage types. Like damage types, it literally doesn't say that anywhere in the client.
Yeah, there's and also and like towers. So not only do towers have like a high damage range, but they also do bonus damage to. I think they do bonus damage to melee creep. So it's actually more than a 20 damage. Like,
it's silly,
man.
Dota 2. Anyway, I think in that vein, and what I was trying to get to is that if you're playing supports, if you're a support player, you need to get down the fundamentals of your damage ranges and how much damage your spells are going to do to creeps and all that, just as much as a carry player needs to, right? If you're saying, all right, I'm going to play a lot of Spectre, you are going to want to sit in bot games or sit in like an ambient game with no bots and just practice and last hitting. And you should not overlook that step to learning a hero if you're playing a support, just because, yeah, sure, you're not going to really be farming a lane, but when you are farming a lane, you don't want to mess it up because you have so few opportunities. That's what I'm really trying to get at, is if you are playing support, don't think, oh, I'm going to be poor. Think, I am poor now, so how am I going to become not poor? That's kind of my prerogative. And again, maybe someday we'll have a Hakuna Marana podcast with all 5 of us or like a group of us, and you guys can all flame me into oblivion for being a greedy player. I actually streamed that meeting that we had where you guys were like, Sam, you're playing way too greedy. But, that is a time for another day. But, that's my prerogative on supporting.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like every last hit on a support is more important than a last hit on a carry. But of course, you can't give your support all the last hits in lane for obvious
it's all
reasons.
relative.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about your perspective as a carry player regarding farming?
Every time I miss the last hit, I cry.
That's fair, and you should. And then you should like self-flagellate.
No, I do, and I say on stream, it's like I miss that because I'm an idiot. And I'm dumb, and I hate myself, and then everyone agrees, and I feel better.
I do the same thing on stream too. I like, it's terrible.
Honestly,
I mean, if you guys want to taste the twitch.tv/.ptv, it's basically just me and Proud either self-congratulating or self-flagellating whenever we do something bad.
Yeah, I never self-flagellating though. That's a different kind.
No, that's disgusting.
That's when Roland streams.
Yeah,
Probably.
I'm not Nano.
I don't actually watch him anyway.
I watch him.
Dude, I play so much PA and I still miss so many last hits on her. Like that's my one issue with PA is I actually just don't last hit well with her.
It's that 2 damage range, yo.
Dude, it's just she starts low damage and I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, like honestly, I'm fine at it, but just like compared to other heroes, I'm just obviously way worse at it. Anyway, and fucking Drought. Okay, all right. So farming on carries, like. You need to have a huge map going. Like I feel like carry is the one position where there's
the one okay.
XD is the one position where you can't have any downtime. And that's kind of why you don't go to fights as much as any other role. Like if you notice on our last Hakuna Marana practice, like I was going to safe lane to fight pretty often, but on one of the games, I was like complaining that I couldn't go to safe lane to fight at the right time. You guys are like, well, you could have. And I was like, no, like one thing happened and my fucking tempo for going to off lane to fight. Sorry. Yeah. My one opportunity to go to off lane that fit with the tempo of my game that wouldn't have given me downtime was like thrown off by this one thing. And like the only way we could have countered that was extreme planning. And that wasn't like something that someone did wrong, but it was just the fact that like the game was in a way that if I did something, it would have been like maybe 30 seconds of downtime where I wasn't actively, increasing whatever lead. And that comes down to like carry. I feel like mids are very snowbally. That's true. But in terms of farm, most carries are set up in a very snowbally fashion. Like every single early item you get to later increase your farm. Like think of a hero like there's some exceptions, but for the most part, that's just totally how it is. Like think of Sven. You rush the Helm of the Dominator to get stacks for later, then you get the treads so that you can jungle while your stacks build up, and then you get the Echo Saber. And that's like kind of preparing to fight, but still the Echo Saber is mostly just so you can have mana from when you're farming, and so that you can finish the Ancient stack very safely. Mm-hmm. And then after all that, you get your Blink, and that's when your gold starts coming in from like the team fights that you're getting kills from. Yeah. And even a hero who's so kill oriented like Clinks, you still you get the Deso very early, and that kind of lets you farm towers, and yes, sort of farming heroes, and you can say, oh, that's just because you want to kill. But you do want to be very efficient in your early starting things. You want to get the Aquila early so you can farm in lane, and then like your Aquila gets you to the point where you can farm the Deso safely, and then you go like killing and fighting. I guess Clinks is probably like maybe the one hero I would say not every item you get is like gold oriented. But even then, like the Deso is, because like as soon as you get the Deso, you're either killing heroes or killing towers, and like those are both pretty fucking great ways to get money.
Yeah, I think you actually brought up a really good point that's very commonly misunderstood, and I think especially applies at lower MMRs. And it's something that was kind of revolutionary in my kind of learning of Dota 2 at a higher level, is that hero kills are not efficient at all in the early game gold-wise, right? If you get it, with the exception of First Blood, a kill in the early game is going to net you like 200 gold, 250, let's say.
Probably 300 if you have if it's like a 2-hero gank. Overall, it'd be about 300.
And especially this gets even worse if you've killed the hero a few times already and they're low net worth.
Yeah.
And whereas you're going to get more farm out of killing like 2 creep waves than you are about killing an entire hero. And also you're not going to have to expend all the mana and all the effort, etc., etc.
Yeah.
There's no risk.
There have been plenty of times where we've killed someone and it's fucked up our lane equilibrium and left us incapable of killing someone again. So like we kill them, they port back to lane. They didn't miss any experience if we just zoned them. But now the lane is pushing into their tower, and we gained like 100 or so golds, but like I missed 2 last hits, and also now the lane is pushing and it's under their tower, and then I missed the last hit under their tower. Well, killing them actually probably helped them. That was a good kill for them.
Yeah. I feel like I learned this from one of the Owie replay reviews where he just went super in depth about the opportunity cost. And Dota is, if anybody's taking like even simple macroeconomics, opportunity cost is probably the most important thing I learned in all of high school. Honestly, having like a good economics teacher explain opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is, I mean, it's very self-explanatory, right? It's the cost of deciding I'm going to go kill this hero, right? It's not just about saying, all right, if I kill that hero, I'm going to gain, let's say, 250 gold. You have to think also about the opportunity cost of, all right, I'm going to kill that hero. Even in an ideal world where I get that kill, I'm going to be spending 125 mana, let's say. I'm going to be spending the opportunity of 8 last hits, let's say. I'm going to be spending, yada, yada, yada. So
it's all the things that that like, it's the cost of something outside of what you're losing. It's what you're...
what you could have gained otherwise had you not done that, right?
Perfect, yeah.
And there are much better ways to explain it, but
in Dota's a game where there's always something that you could be doing, right? Even if it's just walking somewhere else. So it's definitely very important to understand the actual opportunity cost of anything you do, especially as farming, where the opportunity cost is literally just going to be measured in gold for the most part.
Yeah, and like you said, this is, I would say, most important for the one position because everything is about efficiency. It's efficiency, right? It's about, all right, I chose to farm...
There are no fish in the sea. You are not playing carry correctly.
Exactly. If you are deciding to push the lane and you're not pulling the hard camp, let's say, then all right, you've lost the efficiency potential of getting an additional hard camp. And if you are farming the jungle, let's say, and you're playing AM, and this is something that if you watch Proud stream, especially, Proud's farming cycles are very deliberate, right? It's so that you're not missing any camps that you could have gotten had you been more efficient, right? So these little things are compounded upon one another and become much larger pools of money, right? If you miss one camp per farming cycle that you could have gotten had you blinked in a better succession, or had you cut down the little trees that let you walk through spots faster.
Yeah.
If doing that once in one rotation, sure, whatever, you lost 50 gold, not at the end of the world. But if you extrapolate that over the course of an entire game or over the course of 10 games, where you're playing AM for 10 games and you do this every time, you're potentially losing out on thousands of gold over the course of 10 games.
Yeah, and
just because you've missed, whatever large camp 10 times.
Dota's like a game of inches. Just think how many times you've won at a high ground defense, but you're like 100 gold off some item, or like, you need to sell some small item, or you need to sell your TP to fucking afford some item, and then you don't have a TP later. Like, oh shit! Like, there's so many little things in Dota. Everything adds up so much that just like the raw efficiency of everything you do, even if it looks very small, at least, I mean, you play so much Dota. If you're listening to this, you play so much Dota. It's going to turn into a loss at some point.
Yes. So it's all about, and farming in not just talking about specific games, but farming as a general concept that every person is improving at, whether you're 3K or 2K or 7K, you're always thinking about how can I improve my farming, whether you're playing 1 or 5, it's the debatably, I suppose, the most important thing about Dota. Like everything is about money and XP, right? It was Purge that was saying that like there's only 2 resources in Dota: money and XP, and it's just about how you parlay money and XP into greater things. Yeah. So we are already dragging on a little bit. So let's get ending remarks, and I'm going to say maybe next week we'll talk about farming relative to mid and off lane, since we didn't even touch on those, and we can.
Yeah, I wish I had. I wish I was thinking about this on the drive home, because I really didn't have a lot of time to prepare. Yeah. This is a huge topic, so yeah, I'd like to hit this another week.
Yeah, honestly, we could have done like an entire like hour and a half long podcast and only covered like a third of farming.
Welcome to my show with Roland, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, trust me. Listen to that one the other week about carry farming, and like you guys barely broached the surface.
No, dude, Dota is such a fucking game, man. But yeah, the one thing I want to say, I guess, about carry is or farming in general, is you need to plan everything ahead. At least a minute. Look at your team. Look where you are. If you're close to an item, if your teammates are close to an item, like playing on Hakuna Marana, anytime anyone's close to an item, even though I'm the 1 position, I will always give them farm, because the like we said, I think I might have said this on the Proud show or Proudland show or whatever, the Friday show. But the only things that like gold and experience aren't important, levels and items are. So whatever is going to get someone an actual item, if you're about to fight, that's way more important than this like fucking numeric representation of fucking like economic worth in your goddamn right side of your screen. Like that's not important. Items are.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Like if your Tinker is 200 gold away from TP boots, you're not gonna his priority is no longer 2, it's now 1. And like if your AM's a bad example. Let's say your Dazzle just got mana boots, right? And he's going to be going definitely super down to 5 compared to, if your 4 just got, whatever item they're going for, then he's probably going to move down to 5 for a little and buy the wards, and then your 5 is going to move up to get whatever he or she wants, right? So
and that's common. Someone says like, "Hey, I'm fucking 100 gold from," or some support is going Midas or something. Okay, I'm 100 gold from Midas. Can you take over wards? And once I finish Midas, I'll get wards until you finish your item, like that kind of thing. Like that's super common. So
right. Okay. So like we said, we're gonna go back into farming next week. So for our actual combo, we are going to be discussing Treant Protector and Sniper. This is a combo. We're not playing support Sniper. This is not Flub's show. This is Proud and Ursinity. So there'd be no supporting on Sniper. But Sniper's a hero that has fallen super far out of favor since, what was it, 6.83 that he and Troll were? 6.86? Okay.
I think that. I mean, that's the patch that people like. That's the name in my head. Like, oh man, 686.
Okay, well, regardless, he was very, very popular in a previous patch, and then he got nerfed in the ground, thank God, and now we've been seeing a little bit more of him, and he is a hero with potential. He's definitely not top tier, but we've been seeing him a bit more, so Proud wanted to play it, and I think it's going to be interesting. So, and also Treant Protector is a big...
Wait, no, it's not 686, it's 68. I think 683 is right.
Yeah, I was pretty confident, but Treant Protector also is a hero that I've liked for a long time, but not really thought was good. But then after reading some articles and some people and watching some like really high tier games of Treant Protector players, I think the hero has a ton of potential. Mine? No, I definitely did not. I did watch that. You were streaming that. I remember that.
I'm a high tier Treant player, just gonna say.
Yeah, well, because Dota Buff, I think they wrote an article, or somebody wrote an article about Dota Buff data, but Treant Protector is like in the top win rates of 5K plus.
He's
And,
second, yeah.
yeah, and this is partially impacted by the fact that healing is just really, really
Hey, you
good.
want to know who's right below him?
Underlord, the most overpowered hero in all of Dota 2.
Yeah, it's Underlord. It's that guy.
Disgusting. We God, now you got my like.
Oh wait, no, Underlord is now second. Treant is below him.
Oh, cool. All right, fun. Dota 2. God, Underlord. What a hero.
He's second in 4K plus too. I hate this.
Yeah, disgusting. All right. But Treant Protector is a hero that I've really liked for a long time, and there are two distinct ways to play him. There are build him at least. There is the Nature's Guides camp versus the Leech Seed camp, which I didn't even know there was a Nature's Guide camp until I did research for this episode, because I saw a bunch of like 6K plus Treant Protector players that were getting pretty much everybody gets a point in Nature's Guides by level 4, but they were maxing it by 9. So they would have like one, or they would always max tree armor, but they would have like max tree armor, 1 point leech seed, and then max nature's guise with 1 point early as is standard. And then there's the other camp that's more common, where you max leech seed with 1 point nature's guise. But I was fascinated to see that there are actually people that max nature's guise at like really high MMRs. Anyway, there's also the two real trees of Treant Protector builds, whereas there is the Aghanims tree, and there's the absolutely don't go Aghanims tree. And PPD for a very long time is very anti Aghanims. I know he builds it sometimes now.
Is he just dumb? Like what?
A lot of the top tier Treant players do not build Aghanims. I was in my research for this, because I've kind of, since Aghanims came out, and most of us have been on the Aghanims side, but Treant Protector, it's just two distinct ways of playing the hero. The non-Ags build is generally you just go like Blink, Force Staff, and like not Vanguard, and like Vlad's, and you're just fighting and you're abusing mobility. And the fact that you can blink from trees to trees while still invisible, because he can cast spells while invisible, it makes him this like hyper mobile, abusive hero that's very tanky and does a lot of physical damage with his last hits, or with his his big tree punches.
His last hitter. That's what he calls his fist.
Yeah. And one of the big reasons why this hero is now more popular, but also like has a high win rate, is he is a very good example of a 4 or 5 support that Iron Talon jungles well. So a lot of these players at all skill brackets that are successful on Treant Protector, they'll go, usually some are going Stout Shield early on and just jungling really early, but they work with Iron Talon, and then they go Iron Talon, Mana Boots, and then some go Aghanims. Most go Blink first before Aghanims, and some also go Midas, which I think is interesting, but most people don't.
See a lot of people going. I'm like looking through the top players right now. I go Midas myself when I play.
Me too. If I can swing it, I'll buy Midas. If I can get it before 20, and it looks like a game that's good for Midas, I'll do it.
It's not hard to get it before 20, honestly. If you're just jungling and you're not dying in your fights.
Oh, yeah. And he has the advantage of, while he can jungle, he can also be tree armoring people and towers the entire time, right?
So he can still help out with a global presence while he jungles. Kind of like a Nature's Prophet, only defensive.
Exactly. That's the perfect example, right?
I know. That's why I'm on the show.
That's Treant Protector. I think he's a little... I think everybody kind of knows what he does. He's a very, simple hero, but the actual details and the way people play him are complicated, if that makes sense, right? He has a also, I suppose the interactions between tree armor can be complicated. Like TA Treant Protector is a really good combo, for example, because of the interaction between refraction and tree armor, because it takes tree armor stacks off before refraction stacks, which is a very abusable mechanic, which makes your TA infinitely more survivable. Not infinitely.
So, little auto attacks or creep attacks that are supposed to just shred your refraction. You keep your refraction around for the big hits.
Exactly. And also you can purge tree armor, which we learned when I was playing Oracle against the Treant Protector lineup.
Yep.
And
fact-checked it mid-draft. It was great.
Yeah, it was just silly. So, if somebody's playing Treant Protector, also, I wonder if you can purge it by putting Repel on someone.
That would surprise me.
Well, because you can purge Ion Shell.
I know, but
by putting Repel on somebody.
I'm pretty sure you can't do that.
I have not tested it at all, and I'm
All
pretty
right.
sure you're right, but it would be interesting to know. Regardless, there are interesting interactions between tree armor, and it's the ultimate anti-gank ability. You know, if enemy team's running a Spirit Breaker roaming or like a roaming Ricky, just pick Treant Protector and just make them sad. Because, you know, if your mid's going to be super pressured, like let's say they're running like some Murano lineup, just like, you know, they'll feel a lot safer with tree armor. Let's put it that way.
One
Anyway,
of the
let's talk about
best
Sniper.
situations for him is
Okay.
against Faceless Void. That's
Very
like
true.
the main time I ever play him is if they have a Faceless Void. I will pick Treant if I'm supporting that, like definitely. I mean the way I play Treant, this is just I'd like to hijack this for a little bit. Is
Sure.
Living Armor's great, but I first point Leech Seed almost every time because like the first point Living Armor just kind of sucks. Like 20
Yeah.
damage block, like, you're not even blocking a full fucking auto attack from a creep, and the regen is like 4 health is just not too fantastic. But I just get Leech Seed and I punch kids in the face. And then I get Living Armor, and then I just get another point in Leech Seed, and I keep punching kids in the face. Like you can trade so well, especially if you're a tri lane. Like you can just man fight the fuck out of anyone with Leech Seed. So I'm honestly just a fucking Leech Seed player. Like after 2 points in Leech Seed, I'll max Living Armor, but I don't even touch guys until I have Leech Seed and Living Armor maxed. I mean, maybe that's just because the pubs I play in, I'm like I need to be zoning out people by myself. And it also helps me jungle. Like I'm probably not going to be Nature's Guys jumping around a jungle at level 4. I'm gonna be jungling up, some item if I'm not zoning anyone. Like I never see a situation before like the game settles and I need to go like roaming looking for shit, like where there's not opportunities for me to just be leveraging Leech Seed. So I mean maybe I'm just wrong, or maybe it's something that works better in my MMR, but
Yeah.
if you're not feeling any use in Nature's Guys, like if you're not a 5k support and you still want to play Treant Protector, try maxing Leech Seed and Living Armor. Probably still Living Armor first, but like level 3, 2 points in Leech Seed, that'll do more heal for your safe lane than a Living Armor will.
Yeah, it's just not global. I agree with you though. I do the same thing. Honestly, I skip Nature's Guys, and I am going to definitely try a point in Nature's Guys by 4 in this game that we're going to be playing. But it's not something that I honestly play around well, and I admit that fully. So maybe I need to learn. So let's talk about Sniper.
No, if you're talking
Okay.
about like Leech Seed, it's not global. Yeah, that's certainly true, but neither is Nature's Guys. Like you can use Nature's Guys to
Oh
save
no.
someone, but like Nature's Guys isn't going to help your mid laner. It's just I feel like level 4 is not the time when Nature's Guys is going to help. And like what's the point of you being invisible anyway at level 4? Your Leech Seed isn't strong enough for you to actually do anything with it. Like level 1 Leech Seed, it's not going to help.
You can make your carry invis. You can do all kinds of things.
Yeah,
you can make your other support
carry
invis to set up for their stun. Let's say
maybe the support, maybe another support. In which case, that doesn't really apply to my pubs that much. But
yeah.
if I'm playing support, we probably don't have 2.
That is true. Regardless, I think it has potential, and that
I definitely think it's the best way to play. I just stand by the fact that in my games I haven't gone it, and it's fine.
Yeah, I also have not gone it, honestly, but I would like to learn and improve, so I'm going to start going it. Anyway, let's talk about Sniper. This is your point of
my
thing,
specialty.
I hate Sniper, honestly.
Okay, so if I want to talk about Sniper, one of the cool things about this hero is he's one of the only carries in the game that I would call having guaranteed damage. Like there are several ways to kill people, and all of them rely upon you doing damage to them. And then if you look at a hero like Sven, sustained damage on Sven is not good. You want the burst damage. You want like Echo Saber kind of things. You want to like be able to go in and kill someone more or less within a Stormhammer. And that's because he's going to get kited. If you look at a hero like Sniper, Sniper is the least likely hero to get kited. So all you really need is your damage to be sustained and for you to not die. Your range for the most part can take care of you not dying. But if you look at the ho ha patch, Sniper was building not even going damage items. You would just do shit like Aquila, and then you get Mask of Madness, which is like sure, Mask is a damage item. It was just really good. But you would also you would do that into S and Y and do that into Scotty, and all that like that made you kind of survivable, sure. But in terms of killing people, like he doesn't even have good base damage, but you would do like 140 damage plus headshot when you already had a Scotty, which is like a late game item. So you're not doing very much damage, but the fact is that like they're slowed and you have really high range. So no matter what happens, like you're getting shots in. So that's kind of the value of Sniper is you don't even really need to go a very high damage item. You just have to make it so like if a Sven is getting hit by a Sniper, Sven has no ability to ever hit the sniper. Like there is a sniper can 100 to 0 the Sven unless someone else comes in and says something about it. If the sniper has a Scotty, like you can't blink out of Scotty, you can't
Yep.
BKB off Scotty. Like you're just fucking dead. He can walk away as fast as you walk forward. That's just how it is. So that's one of the things you have to think about on sniper is your damage doesn't quite matter so much as the fact that your entropy is never going to end.
Yeah, sniper. Just hearing you think about it, like the hero is just so. Even though he's not like super good right now, he is just.
I think
aggravating.
He's pretty good. I feel like
I think
lot, like
fine.
people aren't going to play sniper again until he's beyond broken.
Yeah,
like, that's
just
how
so
bad our PTSD is about that patch.
And he's just God, everything about sniper I don't like. Honestly,
I know. I hate that he's in the game too. But hey, we have a fucking responsibility to the people.
We do
get the word out of what is viable that we haven't played yet.
Okay, so knowing that is the previous build, do you still think the build nowadays is still something similar, where it's very stat heavy with like one? Okay, so what is the build now?
It's pretty much the same. The only difference is now Dragonlance is in the game, and I feel like pretty much any ranged hero that used to go S and Y has basically replaced it with Dragonlance, as long as you still go phase boots. I was looking at like current, sniper spammers and what they're going. It's kind of split between power treads and phase boots. I think I would always go phase boots because I just can't imagine playing sniper without some kind of move speed item, especially going from like, was it the old one? It was phase boot, Mask of Madness, and S and Y, and taking that and just not getting phase boots or S and Y or Mask of Madness or like any of that other shit. Like that would be too much for me. So I think I'm still gonna go phase boot. I don't feel like this is really the best hero for Windlace. I feel like there are a lot of small items this hero wants. You're definitely gonna want a raindrop at some point.
Yeah, definitely Blightstone.
Well, I don't know if I'd say definitely Blightstone, but Blightstone is definitely an option. I was about to say Orb of Venom, but that's fucking wrong. And even just like a casual Fairy Fire, just because your damage is so low, it's normally pretty nice to start with the Fairy Fire, and it's 2 damage, and this hero doesn't have much damage, so having damage is pretty nice. And I think Mask of Madness is still very viable on this hero. It's just game dependent now as opposed to every game. But I think in general, what you want is either Phase or Treads, Phase for me, and then you want Aquila, Dragonlance, and then Mask of Madness if you want it. And then, so that's just like kind of in parentheses, like optional. And then you're gonna want to go Maelstrom or Mjolnir. I feel like that's the item on Sniper these days. Like Maelstrom, Mjolnir gives you the AoE farming. Your Shrapnel has a much longer cooldown on gaining charges, so you need something else to give you that kind of AoE damage to keep your farm going. Like you can't use Shrapnel to farm anymore. That's just gone. So you do want the Maelstrom, Mjolnir, and one element of that leading into the Blightstone is saying you're probably not as interested in minus armor because a large part of your damage is going to come from that like Maelstrom Mjolnir shit. And also another aspect of Mjolnir is Sniper really wants to be paired with heroes that are going to take absorb as much damage as possible. And also wants to make himself not a very attractive target. So if you have an axe that's being very effective in soaking up damage, putting the lightning shield on that axe is going to obviously do like an incredible amount. Or putting the lightning shield on you if people are actually getting to you is going to be good. So Mjolnir is a really, really strong item on Sniper. Even though Maelstrom is just kind of a shit item in general, like it fits in pretty well with Sniper.
Right, and the kind of the synergy between these two heroes is essentially the attitude towards Sniper and the approach to Sniper in general, if you're fighting against it, is just, all right, I'm going to jump on the Sniper and kill him, and he's going to become a non-factor, right? So when we are thinking about how do we beat a Sniper carry, you pick a carry that has a lot of, like, you very quickly close the distance, right? You have your PAs, stuff like that.
Yeah, Phantom Assassin.
AA, PL.
AA?
Sorry, AM, PL.
Oh, yeah, Anti-Mage is great.
You just jump and jam on him.
Yeah, jump and jam. That's the strat.
Yep.
Any hero with a blink, Spectre is fantastic.
Right. So
even
and
like
to counter this, we have Slark for sure. We have Treant. So Treant is going to be, among other things, he's going to be armoring the Sniper so make him survive through these fights.
When people get in, like basically you want Sniper doing this like guerrilla fucking warfare, just being inside, some trees hidden in a bush, like, oh, you'll never get me. And then they finally like go in on your little encampment, and then it's like, whoa, the trees were against me the whole time. And then like overgrowth happens, and then you Nature's Guy's Sniper, and he's like, I will get out through the back tunnels, and like everything's great. So I really like it together. You're just like the spirit of the forest protecting Princess Mononoke or whatever the fuck. And Sniper is Princess Mononoke in this situation, despite having the rifles and being the antithesis of what that was about.
Yeah, I'm not a big Ghibli fan, I'll be perfectly honest, but I understand your
You're like
metaphor.
the biggest weeb I know.
I know, maybe that's why I don't hate Ghibli, I just don't like it.
It's like that's the opposite. Like Ghibli isn't. Oh yeah. Oh okay. No, I get what you're saying because you were a weeb. I thought just because you hate weeb. Okay.
Well,
anyway.
Also Ghibli's pretty Western and like it's like being a hipster weeb, I guess. But
yeah, no, that's certainly true.
But because I saw Howl's Moving Castle, and that movie just made no sense to me, and I just thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen.
I'll be honest with you.
Right, I'm sure I just made like dozens or hundreds of thousands of people mad by saying that. But anyway, the other nice synergy I like here is that Sniper, depending on the matchup, is fairly self-sufficient in lane and can do well with just having one support or none because of his range is so large.
No, Howl's is actually good. Sorry, that's actually good. You just probably need to watch it again.
Yeah, I watched it a while ago, but I didn't the reveal at the end, he's like, I'm actually the prince from the neighboring town. I'm like, nobody has ever brought up this stupid town. Nobody's brought up that there's prince that was turned into a scarecrow.
If you like pay a lot of attention to it, it's super cool. But anyway,
that was what a movie.
The thing with anyway, it's like they're just kind of it's like, oh, this is like cute and fun, but then like if you actually look into them, you're like, oh man, there's a lot of shit going on. This is super cool.
Yeah. They're pretty. I like the animation.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They're bad if you don't pay attention to them. But then if you do, you're like, what?
Yeah, whatever. I'll reserve judgment because I haven't watched it in a few years.
Yeah, watch your fucking mouth, dude.
But so that's a nice little synergy is that you can I can go Iron Talon jungle and not have to worry about babysitting a carry. And if they do go on you, that's fine. I could just stay in the jungle. I throw on my tree armor.
Whatever, yeah. And Sniper is pretty like, oh, dude, and once you have Ags, because the thing with Sniper is if you know where the threats are coming from, you will never be in danger.
Oh, yeah.
So if you give me like sight to the right of me once you have your Ags, all I have to do is like shrapnel on the left side or just position myself to like, where I know is like a safe way to get out. And I'll never be in trouble at all. The other item on Sniper after you get Mjolnir is Shadowblade / Silver Edge is really good on this hero.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, but if you're doing stealth shit, I'm not sure how necessary that'll be. I was also just talking on Twitter today just how good I think Silver Edge is in general. Maybe it's on Discord. One of the two. Anyway, engage with me on social media. Discord counts as social media now. But it's like Silver Edge is incredible. I was talking about how on PA I really liked it a lot because it's like its stats are just slightly worse than Butterfly as far as like attacks go for any hero, and also gives you mana, not just agi heroes. But it's a 45 attack speed, 45 damage on any hero in the game. Like that's incredible. Yeah. That's a shit ton.
I mean, I agree with you. It's quite good.
But okay. So that's good on Sniper too, and like the burst damage from the hit and the break. There's a lot to it. Also just like crit is solid. Scotty is still good. Like one of the cool things about Sniper is his auto attack is free enough in what it does that you can pretty much get any necessary item for it. It's not like a TA or an Ember Spirit where you're like, I only want damage right now. If it's not damage, I don't care.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're just gonna hop into the game, right? That sounds good.
Whatever. Max Q, get a point and take aim first, then Max Q, then Max take aim, then Max W. Get a point and W at like 3 or 4.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good to me. And
I'm gonna get E-Blade. I'm gonna E-Blade someone and then ultimate. It's gonna be dope.
Yeah, good luck with that one. I'm sure that's like one of those meme builds on YouTube that whoever makes those videos.
I'm pretty sure there is a video already about that.
Oh, there's videos of like everybody.
No, it's like a classic one.
Yeah,
like old school shit. Like they have like a
like the AM one
when it's about to happen, and then like it shows their bones cracking, like they fucking subbed in like I don't know, some like shooter game where like you can see what happens after a bullet hits you. Yeah,
I'm sure people will tweet this at us. I'm sure Jay Gucci has it. Like if we asked him for it right now, within 5 seconds he'd have the link.
Oh, anyway, I'm sure.
We are going to hop into the game. We've already gone on for like an hour and 5 minutes, so we are going to hop into the game.
Get used to it, dude. You say this every time.
I agree. I'm just saying, for the sake of moderation. You can watch our VOD. Both perspectives will be up this week, and they will be up on youtube.com/.ptv1. That's a numerical 1. And that's it. So hopefully we'll see you on the other side. right, we're back. We have just finished our game. It was definitely a game. It was fun. I enjoyed myself, despite the fact that
I had a fine time.
the game could have gone better. So just to start,
it went badly.
as I list the teams off, you will see where the problem was, and also we did not win.
One of the problems.
Yeah, you'll see one problem, and you'll see another, and then you'll see another problem. There were a lot of problems. So the enemy team, or let's say our team first. Our team was Treant Protector, Sniper, Razor mid, a Warlock also in support position, and an offlane Clinks. The enemy team had an offlane Brewmaster, a safe lane tri-lane that was Disruptor Omni Knight, God hero, by the way, Omni Knight, over 60% win rate in every single bracket. What a hero. And PA, which we listed very quickly.
You fucking dumb.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It was a Spectre in the safe lane and a PA mid.
I asked you a question.
What was the question?
Never mind.
Okay, that's fine. So in the earlier part, we were listing, like, what heroes do we not want to go up against as a sniper? It's like, all right, you don't want real gap closers like Spectre and PA. And what happens? They first random Spectre, and then they, like, third pick or fourth pick a PA. And it's like, all right, well...
Yeah.
We've talked about this.
Because I picked Sniper because we were losing gold after our first pick. Like, that's how fucking bad it was.
It was not the best. This is something we say all the time, but this is a game where you should not have picked Sniper. Treant was honestly kind of fine in this game.
It's not good again. Like, if there's a Spectre in the game, like, your tree armor is just gone in seconds. I mean, that's after he gets Radiance, but still. And then, like, Brewmaster, Fire Panda will burn.
That's true, too, actually.
That's also, and like if someone gets glimpsed into Disruptor, ulti tree armor will not save them. Like,
that's actually
you think like because like Disruptor is someone who like isolates one of your heroes and then you kill them, and Treant Protector is supposed to be like, oh, if they're isolated, like this is the one hero that can help even if they're on the other fucking side of the map, but that doesn't help against Disruptor at all. So like even then, like your one niche was not helpful.
Yeah, that's true. I thought. So in game, I was thinking like, man, Treant Protector is really not working, and I was thinking he wasn't working because we were just getting steamrolled. But now that you bring that up, yeah, they did a lot of like incremental dot damage to take my shield away, or my charges away. Okay, but more importantly, you were countered super hard compared to me being countered.
I was pretty countered, but I didn't feel that countered until like the game was already over.
Yeah, our mid lost, so the Razor against PA matchup, somehow our Razor lost incredibly hard, and the PA got off to a big start, and then they had PA Omni, which we did for the show last week, and they really... Yeah, they just steamroll us, like, with the Blink Strike, Purification, Repel, and it was like, okay, well, we've got some problems.
They just like there's like flaming your teammates, and then like so they tried to like aggro try, or not aggro try, but like they tried to like a full support rotation plus their offlaner to gank me, and we just like ran back to tower and like, all right, they were top, now they're not, watch out, Razor. And then after we're like, okay, Razor, watch your shit. They just walked through wards from top to mid. Whole time, Razor just didn't do shit and was like, oops, I got caught out in the river. It's like, buddy, they're at 40 seconds of seeing them walk at you. And he was just like, I'll be fine. It's all right. And he just fucking dies. So and that was like the other element of that game.
And we're like spam pinging him and everything.
Dude, I was telling him to get back very loudly as a joke because I thought it was so obvious. I was like, hey, Razor, watch out, you're gonna get ganked! Like, in that fucking voice, because it was so funny that would ever possibly work on a competent human being. And yet, he fucking died.
It was just one of those things that you see and you're like, just how, like, in what world does this happen? And, low 4K party MMR, I guess that's the world that happens in. Anyway, yeah, I mean, if you play Razor, don't lose mid matchups. Like, Razor should win virtually every matchup. Like, that's why you pick Razor. Anyway, let's not focus on them. Let's talk about us. So, how did you feel about, like, your item build? Because I know you started, like, a quick deviation. You were thinking about Russian MKB.
Yeah, so I started with Wraithband Tango, and I actually liked that pretty well. It gave me enough damage that I pretty much hit every last hit in lane, even with my obscenely low damage, just because the auto attack animation is so, like, as soon as the damage is there, you right click in you receive gold. So it's not like Drow where you have some crazy long time, like wind up, and you have a shit like auto attack projectile speed. It's like very instantaneous. Like you have low damage, but right click, receive gold. So I think the Wraithband is really good. And then I went like Wraithband into Blade of Attack, into finishing the phase boots, and I think that was pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe getting the boot earlier if we were in a little bit more trouble, but like you kind of had my back pretty well, and I was just farming, and you were zoning the off laner, and the warlock was whatever. I didn't need moves to be too badly.
Yeah, he was
So
pulling a lot.
that felt fine, and I just got a shit ton of damage, and then I finished like phase boots, and then Aquila, and then I bought the two Band of Elven skins for my Dragonlance, so I just had like actually like a respectable amount of damage despite starting with 39 or whatever. But yeah, I mean my item build was just basically phase and then Aquila and then Dragonlance, and I kept getting like Brewmaster, was it Drunken Haze? I kept getting
Drunken Haze. Yeah.
yeah, I kept getting drunk and hazed, and they had a PA, and Brewmaster himself has dodge, and Spectre's eventually going to build a Radiance. So I was like, I should use probably just get an MKB. I feel like I need MKB. So I was like, I'll get first item MKB if I'm doing really well. And then I was clear after the second time Razor watched supports rotate onto him, and then he just died for no reason. I was like, all right, this game's going shit. And then I died. And I was like, this game's really going shit.
Yeah.
And so I finished a Hurricane Pike, which was great. The Hurricane Pike, like the Force Staff saved me once, and then it was really good in general. And so I went Hurricane Pike, and then just the fact that Sniper's auto attack is so independent of most other effects that you can really go anywhere. It really wasn't bad for me to just go Hurricane Pike straight MKB. And that was pretty fine. Like obviously we were super behind, so it didn't really matter what items I built. But I was definitely cool with like after you get the Hurricane Pike, build whatever you want. And if you're doing okay and you don't, because I mean obviously I need the Force Staff if Spectre is just gonna haunt on me and PA is just gonna blink to me immediately. Like I need to get the fuck out of there. So it was good, and I was definitely more enabled by the new items for sure.
Yeah, I know. Like you were talking about making some hard decisions when it came to the like little items, like deciding between Windlace and the rain drop, and
Oh
you
yeah,
didn't have to get a casual Blightstone. I don't think in this game
I
it was
did.
so applicable, but I think in
Oh,
certain
you're
games
talking about
casual
it. Yeah.
Blightstone would be really good.
Yeah, that's possible. It also helps you push towers a lot. It was funny. There was like a tier 1 that was just up forever, and since I have so much range, I was able to just like skirt outside the trees and just right click it down by myself without like the creeps being there. So like they had no reason to be near that side of the map because the creeps were pushed in. But I could just walk out and right click a tier 1 outside of its attack range and get it, and then run away real quick. So that was fun.
Yeah. All right. So regarding my item build, I don't play much Treant. I've played a number of games historically, but I haven't played around with Iron Talon Treant especially. So I started with, wards, courier, salve, tango, couple
Standard
clarities.
support shit.
Yeah. Normally, recently, after watching that fluff and stuff video, I now in my pubs, even if we have two supports, I just buy everything. I just buy courier, double wards, sentries, one set of tangos, and one clarity, and that's it. And it
Why?
makes life easier for everybody. Because I mean, most of the sports I play are fine, not having any items, and I would rather my other support have like a Windlace and a bunch of regen or boots and regen, and it just like it
I don't know, because
for
every support I see, whenever they have extra gold, they just fucking buy branches, and then they're fucking
yeah,
worthless because branches are fucking awful.
branches are good. It depends on the game. I mean, it
Branches
depends. Yeah,
suck,
I mean,
dude. My support
branches are
is buying
great.
branches instead of like another piece of regen or a windlace. Like, I'll kill them. I just like,
Well,
what's the fucking point?
the only time you build branches is when when you have 100 gold or when you have like 60. It's when you I would never buy it if I had 60. I'd buy a
Okay,
clarity.
what if you were instead got your boots? What if you
All
did
right,
that with the, what if you got
branches
your
are
boots 100
such
sooner?
branches are such value. Like I've never heard anybody argue
To do
against
what?
branches.
No,
Branches are
dude,
the
I
most
feel so
efficient item in
strongly
the
about
entire
this.
game.
Yeah, efficient for doing what? Like, what are the branches changing about your heroes? Like, what is one more damage and one more health gonna do? Like, I know that there's
50 more health.
compare how fucking like okay, like every other like 200 to 400 gold item is fucking transformative. Like between an orb of venom or windlace or fucking boots or upgrading courier having gold for centuries, like those radically change the game. What is your disruptor having a branch going to accomplish? Like a kill on a disruptor is never going to be decided by a branch. It is going to be
I
decided by a fourth of a windlace and shit.
all right, so I agree with you partially. I think branches have gone down in value a lot
Drastic.
because of because nowadays there are so many really, really high value items in that like 200 gold range, but a lot of supports you are going to be end up building mech or building
If you're gonna
something
build mech,
using.
then yeah, that's fine. But a lot of supports
But
aren't gonna be building mech.
I disagree completely with you saying that a branch or two is not a deciding factor in a kill. That's like the equivalent of a fairy fire and then some having two branches. Like 50 health or not and then some, but it's like the equivalent of a fairy fire always running. Having 50 extra health is a big deal. That's like two auto attacks depending on the hero.
It's
Like that's a
two branches
big difference.
is 40 health, by the way.
Okay, 40 health, whatever. But
That's not
40
even that
health.
much.
That's a auto attack. That's a full auto attack, dude. That is, I can't even tell
What if
you
you
the amount
had
of times I've
boots?
missed a kill by like 10
100
health.
gold, that's a fourth of your boots. Like
But
as a
you're not gonna
support,
get
that is getting your boots so much sooner.
no, because you're gonna have to upgrade the courier at 3, and you
So
almost
that's your upgraded courier. Then
and
you still like you need upgraded courier and you need boots. Two branches is like you. Okay, so imagine you were
also
300 gold
I never said I was
from your.
buying branches in these builds.
I'm just saying branches suck. Like that's what I'm telling you, and you're arguing with me, and I'm saying no. But like I almost never see a situation unless you're building mech. Even if you are building mech, like saving that 100 gold to like either get another piece of regen. Like when I see a support walk with two tangos because they gave their two of their tangos away, and then they have two branches instead of another set of tangos. I just want to fucking strangle them
But
because like
like
use their
a lot of
what
times you
what.
have that because you can't buy another set of tangos because money
That's
wise you
never the
have
way I
100
see it.
gold.
It's like whenever I click on a support with that, they have like 25 gold left over in two branches. Like I've
Also,
played support enough to know that that situation does not occur. Like you can buy all of the support items, and then like I see these supports just like they don't even have one clarity; they just have two fucking branches. I'm like, I fucking hate you.
if you don't have clarities, you're doing something wrong. But
I'm just
branches
saying if
also, if you're pooling, all right. So let's say I buy. Also, I pool two tangos to mid. So I end up coming
yes,
to lane with two tangos and a clarity and like wards, in my pubs. But in general, if you have two tangos left, instead of spending another 125 gold and having six tangos, which is too many, you realistically don't need six tangos in most matchups.
if you're zoning, I think you do.
No, I mean it depends on the matchup, but a lot of times you will
Yeah,
not need six tangos because a lot of offlaners will not trade with you. You're just going to zone them if you're ranged. You're just going to zone them and they're going to like screw off. Every time I have six tangos, I regret it and I think, boy, I don't need this many tangos. But if you have two tangos left after pooling, or three tangos if you have another support pooling, and then you have your branches, like they're
yeah,
giving
no.
you
Then it's
stats.
like you have three tangos.
Yeah, and you well four if you have two branches or whatever amount of branches versus amount of tangos you get it. But it changes an entire matchup because it gives you the immediate benefit of +1 damage and a plus health and plus mana pool, which is actually noticeable in certain supports, and not noticeable at all in the other supports. And you have that like fallback. Also, I like having 25 gold banked, where it's like, all right, this is reliable gold that I'm not going to lose if I die, and it's nice to just have that like filling a slot, and then be like, all right, well, I need boots, and it's like, all right, well, instead of waiting around, I'll just sell a branch. And I know what you're saying is like, well, if you didn't buy the branch in the first place, then you just have that gold. But like, what if you die? Then you lose that. Like, there's a lot of unknown factors if you just have gold sitting around. Anyway, we got off topic of branches, but in
I'm just
pubs,
saying, dude,
if I'm playing
branches suck.
if I'm playing 5 or if I'm playing 6, I just autopilot on most of the sports I play because I play real poverty supports in solo queue especially. But I just buy. I even do this in team practice. I just buy courier, both obs and wards, one set of tangos, one clarity, and that's all the money you have. And it puts everybody in a good like mindset because everybody's like, man, I'm so rich. And like, you instantly pull your obs and your two tangos to your offlaner and mid respectively. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody starts lane like happy and content. And we have sentries, so there's no tilting where it's like, oh my god, nobody bought sentries. Because in a pubs, a lot of people as 4 will not buy sentries, or as 5 will not
Yeah.
buy sentries because they're like, oh, why would we need sentries? They don't have a Ricky or a bounty hunter. It's like, well, they're gonna block, dude. Or like sentries are just good to have, but most supports you don't need this, and that
Yeah,
was
they're a
like,
lot better than branches, I'll say.
yeah. But that's the main thing I learned from that fluff and stuff video on supporting. It was very educational. He was like, you don't need arcane boots a lot of times, and buy a lot of branches. Not branches, by a lot of
Yeah, I
stuff
was
at the
about to
beginning of the
say,
game.
like, you don't want to fight again? I'll
Yeah,
fight you.
I got
I can see one branch. For the I think two tangos turning it into three tangos makes sense, but
Yeah. Well, it's just like the
people buy
mentality on
branches way too much.
why mids get a tango or yeah, branch. Jesus
Yeah, no,
Christ.
like that's good. Like using it for the and then get like
Yeah.
that's solid. But
And yeah,
I
and
will
also
say,
like I think
people
you're
buy
really
branches way
underrating
too much.
what 40 health does. Like 40 health is a big difference.
I know it's nice, but when I see a support and there are important items, and then they have like two branches, I'm like,
Yeah,
motherfucker,
I
you
don't
don't
think
have
you ever
sense.
prioritize it over other things, but like if you already have like two clarities or a clarity depending on the hero, like do you really need another? Like nah, you'd rather have 20 health and the like on use HP of of a branch. Anyway, that's a
Ah,
whole different topic. But I was
that
pretty
is.
content to tie this back to Treant Protector. I was pretty
He
content
has
once I had
branches.
Stout Shield Iron Talon of just choke point jungling,
Yeah.
but I would need to watch more Treant games to see how like the good players really do it because there has to be some trick to it because I just felt like either I was expending a lot of mana using Leech Seed on neutrals or I was constantly kind of low and
That's
like
that's
maybe you
why I
have to
get
have
2 points in the leech seed, man. And then I
yeah.
can just jungle with that, and it's like so fucking good.
But even then, like, you're running out of mana. Granted, now it's only what, like 90 mana at level 2 because they buffed it, but
It's super cheap.
it's cheap, but like unless you have raindrops, which I bought, which were incredibly valuable, just
Yeah.
for the like flat region as a very poor hero, like cuz I was just dying. I think I ended the game like 0 and 12 or something. Like it was a
Um.
miserable game for me.
Owen, yes, correct.
It was not a good game for me, that's for sure. And I did try to work on the Ags. I was kind of conflicted. Maybe if I went Force Staff, I would have had a better time because I couldn't go Blink
Maybe.
because they were just jumping on me. But
Yeah. If Haunt is in the game, Blink is not going to help.
yeah, but like there were so many times where in a fight, either I would be behind trying to get in and I wouldn't be able to get in because I'd be zoned by whatever, or I would have to be initiated on and I couldn't run away. Mostly that was just bad positioning. At a certain point in the game, I just became so complacent with positioning because I was like, I don't like this is
You're
just
gonna die. Yeah, and I mean, it didn't really matter because they focused on you, right?
yeah.
So
And they
I
lost
mean,
a
you
bunch of
positioned.
fights because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that in the VOD, but like there were a bunch of fights where like we would come out way ahead, even though we really shouldn't have, because they would blow like everything on me for no
Yeah.
real apparent reason. Um, anyway, like it was an okay game. It was a learning
I want
experience.
to highlight the theory though. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, things weren't the best. We went against like some pretty hard counters, but as far as like the two heroes together, there was that one fight. It was in mid, like all of our fights were, and or near top lane. I was in top lane. The fight was in mid. I just had the fucking 1090 range, so it didn't really
yeah,
matter where the fight was. I was somewhere, and then really in relation to that fight. But anyway, so Spectre haunts in and tries to kill me, and it was a fight we won because Spectre was just focused on me, and I ran all the way back to base, and then your living armor was off cooldown. No other defensive support in the fucking game would have been able to help me when I was like fucking two tiers of towers away from them. But you were able to living armor me like right as I got up a cliff, and Spectre didn't even really notice. And then she like jumped up and did an attack and was like, "Wait a sec, you
yep.
should have died." And I was like, "Haha, I have dirt on my face." And he was like, "Oh no!" And then I fucking managed to walk away. And it was purely because you were Treant and I exist on the outside of the fights. And even though they were able to get to me when I was really far out, you could still save me. So, just want to say, Treant Protector Sniper OTP.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this was very proof of concept in the actual combo, even though the actual game itself did not work out for it. I
Yeah,
definitely think. I mean, Treant, he isn't Treant been buffed for like 5 patches in a row or something, 6 patches in a
um,
row.
a little
I
bit. It's
remember
been
reading something like
mostly
that.
like Leech Seed, but I mean, he
Yeah.
also got nerfed very heavily in one of the patches.
Well, a
So
long time ago though, but
I mean, it's
recently
just
he's been getting
I
minor
just didn't want
buffs.
to. It's like whenever anyone talks about Treant, they're like, they buffed him so much, and then people want to play Treant, and then they don't. He's been buffed so many times, and there's so many heroes, and they get buffed so many patches in a row, and no one plays them, and then they get buffed, and people play them, and they're all stupid. They were always good, but like that's not
Yeah,
really true.
yeah, people are
Oh,
idiots. Also, you got
yeah,
a bunch
like
of buffs that don't matter. They're like, oh yeah, it takes 6 more base damage. I'm like, all right, buddy,
yeah,
this was
like
not
man,
our problem.
Jug just kept getting buffed, and then like the next patch, they give him 6 damage and change his crit and give him a lower base attack. I'm like, wow, he's been buffed so much, and only now people are playing. Like, dude, he
Yeah,
gained 6 fucking damage and base. It's
yeah.
don't get me started.
Yeah, all buffs are not equal, and all nerfs are not equal. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's not just a hero gets buffed. It's like once the big buff happens, we play him. Go fucking figure.
Yeah, but yeah, I think actually a very like applicable a way you could apply this better is if you see instead of going into a game and saying we're going to pick Sniper Treant, like let's say like
Dude, if you're low MMR, do it. Like whatever. What's
true.
gonna happen? They're gonna counterpick you. They don't know.
Yeah, that's also true. But I think thinking about this, if you see the enemy team is running like a very aggressive ley lineup, like let's say they pick like Spirit Breaker and like a Dazzle or something, you can pick the Treant early because it's just a good hero and it's a good defensive hero and it accents the like or it's very good at countering that aggressive playstyle. And then like later on in the draft, if your carry's still open, the Sniper might be good, right? Because I think the Sniper is a bit more conditional than the Treant. So think that through, and I think it's solid, or vice versa, I guess. But generally, you want to save your carry picks for later. Regardless, I think it's an interesting combo for sure, and I think it has a lot of potential. So on that note, I think we're just going to hop into the plugs. You can watch the game we just played. Both our VODs will be up there, and that will be up on youtube.com/.ptv1. You can watch us on Twitch as we speak. The in-houses are either finishing up now or have recently finished. They are on twitch.tv/.ptv, and we also stream on there. I stream solo queue on there. Proud streams solo queue on there. Flub will soon be streaming solo queue on there, I believe. Roland also streams.
Someone gonna watch that?
And we play our Hakuna Marana team matches, which is Flub, myself, and Proud, and Skrunk, who has been on the show multiple times, as well as Fafnir, who has been making some excellent replay reviews on the YouTube channel. They've been a good time. And also, you know, regular content creator and Twitter junkie like myself. And so those are fun. On our website, defenseofpatience.com, you can find all the content and probably other things. Proud, you got something?
What?
Nothing? No. All right.
No, I just wanted to raise my hand. Were you looking at that?
I was like, boy, Proud has something to say. We're using.
No, we've never used this before. Why would this indicate anything?
Yeah, for you kind of listener, we were like, hey, let's make the quality better. So we're using a different program, and that program has a raise your hand function that is very fun to use. So Proud alerted me that he had nothing to say. So thank you for that one.
I didn't know you were looking at this. I just wanted to press a button.
On our website, we have a Amazon banner, and you can order your things through that, and it does nothing to you except it gives us a little cut, and we appreciate it.
You'll
it costs you nothing.
Your stuff, though. It does do that to you. It does give you items.
It will give you physical goods or non-physical goods, I guess, because you can order movies and stuff on Amazon. Anyway, if you would like to contact us, you can go to our Discord server. That is discord.com/gg/.p, if I recall correctly. And
isn't it discord.gg?
Discord.gg, that's what it is. I just was spitballing. And on Twitter,
discord.gg/DOTP, as in Defense of the Patience.
Yeah, we got that sick partner status, so we got our custom URL.
Yeah.
And on Twitter, you can also contact us. Yeah, you can also contact us on Twitter. I'm at Ursinity, Proud is at Proud Dota. Our show is .p_show, and Flub is at Flub Dota with 2 B's. You can email us at defenseofpatience@gmail.com. Another way to contact us. iTunes reviews, we appreciate those. Those help us, let us know, etc., etc. We, I'm sure, have more to read, but we always forget, and nobody sends them to me, so who knows. If you would like to support us, you can do so through patreon.com/defenseofpatience if you'd like to do so monetarily. Otherwise, spread the word. That's how a podcast grows, whether it's a Dota podcast or any other kind of podcast. We appreciate it. And lastly, on Reddit, reddit.com/r/defenseofpatience, you can find all our new shows there and other conversations going on. If you want to talk about the shows, I check that regularly, and it's a good place, you know, for you Redditors. And yeah, if there's one thing we do, it's contact. Or if there's one thing that's easy, it's contacting us. We have so many different venues. So that's about that, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure I missed one of the plugs there, but you know, whatever. So thanks for listening. Remember, if it's been our theory,
do the normal one for once.
Okay, all right. It's been our theory, but if it didn't work, it's probably your fault.
There we go.
I actually messed that up. That's not even the tagline. It's our theory, but it's your fault.
Thought it was, but it's probably your fault.
Yeah. You know, who knows?